Welcome to Will It Work. I'm Kevin. Here we test my various consoles and other game systems and see if they are functional. Today we're looking at the Odyssey 100. This is the first in the series of Odyssey consoles that Magnavox released under their own name. Magnavox was big into Pong systems. They released a number of units that were under various other names, reselling other designs, etc. But this was their primary units. We looked at the Odyssey itself, which was sometimes referred to as the Odyssey 1, which was the very first video game system ever made for the home. And that came out in 1972. That is then being followed up with this. This is the Odyssey 100. And this is a very basic Pong system, although somewhat of an advanced design, let's say. Okay, we've got 3 controllers on each side. It allows you to move in, what do we want to call it? 3 dimensions, I suppose, as well as a sort of looks like a curly type of move, or an S move, all 3 of them. That may actually be, this might actually have to do more, I'm guessing, but it may have to do more with putting some English on the ball, as they say, or hitting it with a specific angle, but we'd have to check it out. We have an on-off here. It does sound like it's going to work. I have batteries in there. Whether or not we get a display is a different question. We have 2 games, A and B. Looks like score was tracked on the unit itself rather than in the game. It's very early. We had a center button and a speed dial, or a center dial and a speed dial to get it positioned. Now, I believe, all right, I'd have to read the history of this, but I believe this one does use a microchip. I'm not sure. It could be analog, because I'll show you the bottom. I know the original Odyssey is definitely analog. So, unlike a lot of other ones that just have a battery compartment here you can take the entire back off. And I've already got some batteries in there, some Amazon batteries. You can turn sound on and off, which is a nice feature for an early Pong system. There's this interesting cardboard overlay that tells you what all these things do. So we have the fixed player's horizontal position for the right, the left, horizontal position, the score's vertical position, so maybe it does keep score. I don't know. Sometimes the score is just like a counter rather than a numeric integer. Channel select over here, which is fairly common. We have a vertical frequency, horizontal frequency, the right wall position, right? This one's got a little sticker on there. This is like the goal position. And then there seems to be some other accessible things here, maybe for the RF tuner itself, if you're trying to tune the frequency in to get a better picture. That'll be the question, because when they're this old, getting a solid picture out of them is a little bit difficult. So let me pop this back on. And let's see, we got a serial number 118700065. It's run 1, so that probably means it's the first edition, but who knows. We have a model number here, YF7010-0RF1, and then up here it's number YF7010-ORFI, etc. No date on here that I can see. But it's probably 74, 75, 76, something. So this is also using the same sort of RF out, this like plug that's a little bit weird, because unlike your standard RCA jack, Magnavox had this kind of alternate design where you'd have a switch box like this, And up here you have this just sort of a thing where you just kind of punch it in there, and you know that gets you the video. I mean, it tends to work okay, but it's a little bit unusual. I don't know if the later versions of the Odyssey do that, but we are going to talk about them and find out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I got batteries in it. I'm going to hook this up to the VCR, and then we'll use that to bring it into the encoder, and we'll see if we can get a picture going here. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're looking at the Odyssey 100. First try, channel 4. Got a white bar in the middle. It's pretty good. Let's see if we can bring up one of the controls. There we go. I think that's the left control, actually. We can move it up and down and left and right. You know, if this is working off a microchip, I would be surprised. The far one that has the sort of the swirl on it doesn't seem to do much of anything. Let's move the other one up. Hello, player 2, and there's the ball. I like how I just kind of slowed down as it went across that part of the screen. So I'm not sure what causes it to go. I don't see a score. I think maybe we both have to touch the white line. Yeah. And then it'll go. Makes it a little bit difficult to hit the ball, though, even though it's going that slow. It's exciting shit right there. 1972 style. So that's game 1. Game 2, a little bit more interesting, I guess. You can move your controls a little bit more in, I suppose. Play that way. So while we've got this here, why don't I look for Odyssey 100 and see what we got inside this thing. I'm looking at it here. Wikipedia's got a hell of a long article about the Odyssey. Although there was continued customer demand for the console, Magnavox discontinued production of the Odyssey in fall of 1975. Rising inflation had raised the manufacturing cost of the system to Magnavox from roughly $37 to $47. And Magnavox was unable to raise the retail price to match. Instead, it sought a cheaper alternative. In May 1974, it signed a contract with Texas Instruments for integrated circuits to replace the transistors and diodes of the original system and designed a limited version of the console around them. The result was the first of several dedicated consoles that could only play built into the system, the Magnavox Odyssey series. The Magnavox Odyssey 100 and 200 as part of the first generation of video consoles. The Odyssey 100 was only capable of playing the ping pong and hockey games from the original Odyssey, while the 200 also had the handball game and a rudimentary on-screen scoring system. The 100 and 200 were released in November 1975 to replace the Odyssey for $70 and $110. So this is the cheaper of the two. Apparently they both came out at the same time, so that's kind of interesting. If you just wanted the 2 games, you bought this one, it was $70. If you wanted the one with the 4 games, Paid 110. So what I understand, and from reading Pong's story, is that the microchips that Texas Instrument wrote, were basically taking the exact integrated circuits. And I think they took something from, I don't want to say for sure it was Texas Instruments. I'd have to go back and read the article. But apparently one of them took the logic out of the, is accused of taking the logic out of executive games, television, tennis, and turning it into a microchip. But here it looks like, this does kind of look like the Odyssey. So it may be that they just, copied the exact logic from the Odyssey and made this unit. It's kind of interesting that they would do things like that. But hey, that's just how it was back in those days. Anyway, I'm kind of glad that this one works okay. The Odyssey 100. You have to take a look at it. It's the first of a series of Odysseys. I think there's ultimately something like 11 Odysseys. I don't have 11, but I have most of them. And I think the variants that might count up to 11 are, more or less like a French version of something, but I think the games are probably the same. However, we're going to continue to look at all of them in the series as we head towards the end of looking at Pong. So we've looked at Odyssey, we've looked at Odyssey 100. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.